Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. This is a warning video. Warning about being scammed on the internet. Nothing new. Nothing new. But I just got scammed and my computer got hacked. And I had to just go through getting it all cleaned and changing accounts and passwords and all that stuff. And I wanted to share the warning out there, because people do get complacent. They forget. It is serious. Could have been very bad. It was caught in time, but it was my own naivete, my own, I don't know, emotional state, I guess. The come on was a receipt in the mail that looked something like that. And looked legitimate. I read it quickly. The biggest thing I saw was total amount $399.85 has been charged to me. Now, had I looked more closely, and I will look more closely now, I guess, but you see so many of these receipts in the email, you don't look as closely on it as you should. Print it out and look at it. My eye doesn't catch it so much on a screen. I'm more used to getting it on paper and looking at it on paper. Just what I'm familiar with. A lot of people can do it on screen. I have a little more difficult time. But there's many things in this receipt that would have shown me immediately had I drilled into it a little more closely. But I made certain assumptions. And those assumptions led to other things. And then confusion, then calling, adding to the whole grift thing was the people behind it. The poor quality of the call, but that didn't really, I wondered about it, but I get so many poor quality calls from legitimate situations, legitimate people, that it worried me, but it wasn't a deal breaker. Foreign voices, that didn't break it either, because it happens all the time. Even the people that just corrected my, cleaned up my computer and all that. There is so many things that are changing in today's world that you have to be careful of. You can't just assume anything. Now, in my years that I've been around, I've seen a lot of changes. And I worked for the federal government. I worked for national security stuff. I was briefed on many of these things. Of course, it was quite a while ago that I had a brief on this type of phishing. But it's basically the same thing. But these guys are getting much more sophisticated. And I mean that in a way, not because the scam is sophisticated, but the way they handle themselves, their backup, their proof to give you a little edge, to give you the support that this is a legitimate issue and we're going to help you. Even though they're conning you, they're making you believe that this is something for your benefit. Even when you're talking about that you think that this is a scam, they're diffusing that, shunting that, manipulating you. You see it all the time in today's world. It's just everywhere. That's another reason why I'm putting this tape out, because these scams are everywhere. They're not just on the internet with this, trying to, get into your bank accounts. There's all types of things scamming you. You have to be prepared. Critical think. I say it all the time. And it's an embarrassment to me because, I try to critically think about it. I try to understand what's going on. I try to think about it. But this worked its way underneath my radar, I guess you'd say. And, it's been an emotional time. You know, they say when you're in an emotional situation, you never sign anything or do anything. Well, life goes on, and you're still responsible to do some things. You know, you gotta pay your bills and do all that stuff. I mean, you can't ignore that. And these things come in because they flood opportunity, they flood organizations, or internet or social media or whatever thing is. And I'm not on social media. I don't know what, you know, other than this YouTube. I don't know much about that other stuff. But I'm sure the scamming's going on there too. It's just a warning to tell you, first of all, you have the ability, you don't have to go stick your head in the dirt or jump in a closet and close the door and be afraid of things, because it can happen. There's a lot of things to be afraid of, really, and major ramifications for screwing up. There just are. You can't ignore that. Not just inconvenience of getting another credit card or closing an account or whatever, but you could lose money. You can lose resources. You can lose many things because you hit the wrong button or said the wrong thing or you weren't awake enough. My warning is that these things are very sophisticated, and they have a knowledge of psychology, which good con people always have a good knowledge of psychology. And these guys did. I mean, I'm not the super intellect. I'm not presenting myself as any, you know, brain trust. I'm just a person who sees vulnerabilities in the human psyche and wants to address them, to put them out there so people can be alert to them. These guys even had a backup website. When I started to distrust the person I was talking to on the phone number that they provided, I went on and I typed in their their header, and a website came up with a chat line. I went right to the chat line, said, I think there's fraud being perpetrated on this. And immediately, you know, the person's, you know, gave the normal little chat blurb, you know, if I can help you, you know, in written form, obviously. But then, you know, I said, well, then they came back, they had a name, you know, Angela or something. And they said, you know, well, what number can we reach you at? We'll get right back and talk to you about this. And they did. And another call came in and, you know, follow up. All those things were being, you know, done very well in coordination with the number or the people that I had just been talking to, that I started to get a concern about. Well, there was a new voice on there, a little more sophisticated, better English skills, and they hooked me in a variety of ways. Some ways I'm just starting to understand. But I think because the emotional low that I was in didn't help me prepare, but my training, and not just in this particular kind of phishing, but it is a way they get you to, they don't get you to divulge certain information. They get you to give them access to, in my case, the computer. And all by, of course, they lied about what they were doing. They didn't say, okay, I want access to your computer. They don't do that. But they say, okay, here's the form. We want to get a form so you can fill this out and we can get your money back and put it and send it to the proper people to get the fraud going and all that stuff. And it's all perpetrating their fraud. And because you're on a lower ebb or a, you know, not quite savvy enough or whatever, well, you get hooked. I got hooked to a point. And I am embarrassed by it, but I'm also taking responsibility for it. Luckily, it didn't go too far. as soon as I saw that they were getting access to the computer, because you got to know when certain screens come up, even when they were fixing my computer, they had multiple screens popping up on these things, and you can't follow it. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what they mean. There's no name says, okay, here I'm trying to get access to your computer to scam you. But as soon as I saw there was some movement in there or some flash of a banner that came, which the computers generate themselves in the programs, I just reached around and shut it down. Just turned the computer off. Now, first of all, I was lucky to be able to even know where the shut-off button was. The plugs were underneath the thing and whatnot, I couldn't reach it. By that time, all hell would have broken loose. But know where your shut-off button is on your computers. Some of these are not so obvious, and you may have to cut it down quickly. In my case, I got it. But like I said, it's an embarrassing thing. I'm sorry that it happened, but it's my responsibility. I have the ultimate responsibilities. Others have been saying, no, you're not, they're con men, they're smart. Yes, they are. Are they as smart as me? Maybe smarter. But that's not the issue. Smart people can be deceived. You just got to work the angles. Psychology is psychology. But you have to be aware that these threats are there. Not be afraid of them, but just be aware that you just don't. If you have a doubt, don't click on it. But there's many things you have to click on. That's the way they communicate. Health issues all the time with doctors and checking in and all kinds of exchange of information. It's not that cut and dry. But be careful. If your antennas fly up, if your hairs on the neck go up, whatever terminology you want to use, stop it. If it's important, you can get back to it. If it's a scam, they won't get back to you. I shouldn't have said it that glibly. They will follow up if they think they have a sense that you're vulnerable. So be prepared. Think about it. I talk about critical thinking all the time. That's an element, but it's the emotional side of things that you have to, I think that they lock into, key it in, get you angry. Wow, they're charging me this much money. Who the hell? I got to get rid of this. Let me see that kind of shtick. And they use it very effectively. In my case, they did. And I'm sure many have see right through it and would not be deceived. Unfortunately, I was. So be prepared, but don't be afraid. Trust yourself. Deal with the things you have to deal with. If you have to be educated or re-educate yourself on the scams, but be aware they are there. And they're sophisticated too. As I talked to the security people in the bank, we had of course they're trying to elevate you too, because you're in an emotional state. You almost, you don't know how much damage they've done until you know. And the security people, said, yeah, it's happened. It happens to even the security people themselves. And she was saying that, even certain emails that come directly from her own institution, she doesn't necessarily open. There's, because other ways of going around and checking it out. But that's what we have today. It is what it is. Deal with it. Don't be afraid of it. But be cautious. Use your mind as best you can. If you're in an emotional situation or you're coming out of some health issue or whatever, don't just think you've got it all under control. You may not. Be self-assured. check yourself out. Be aware. Keep hope alive. Go to the good. But don't just have a knee-jerk reaction and open whatever the hell they want you to open. Plus, even when you call these numbers to verify, be on your alert. Let them prove who they are. They want you to do all the proving. And they're good at it. Stick to your guns, be alert, be prepared. You'll do fine. Thanks for listening. If you like what you see, please subscribe. If you think it has some value, send a link on. Just to raise attention to it again. It's always there. It ain't going away. It is not going away. It's there. It's there forever now. Be prepared. And they've got all the information. Everybody's been hacked 1,000 million times. They've got they are, depending on their sophistication of the group, they have social security numbers, dates of birth, names, everything. It's all there. Everything's been hacked. Now just to mix it all up and, change your passwords and all that stuff, is the best course of action for now anyway. Thank you for listening. Be alert, be prepared, don't be afraid, but be alert. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye for now.